Hey everyone, welcome back to Speak Your Courage. Thank you for all of the listeners, all of the comments. I've received a lot of comments just one-on-one, people sending me something saying they appreciate what I'm saying or telling me their story. So love that. Keep it coming. Feel free to comment at any time. I thought today so today's not an interview, it's just me. Imagine that. You got to listen to just me. And it's so nice that I wanted to be outside. So hopefully it's not too annoying. If it is, turn the thing off and just listen. Make it easy. I want to talk about, so in the very first one we talked about suicide, and in that stemmed on or bordered on bullying, maybe. Um, that's not really true. It just stemmed on maybe the lack of emotion. The next one where we talked about suicide was, in fact, not a dotted line, but a solid line due to bullying. And I thought today would be a good episode to talk about the bullying that's been in my life. Um, I sent out, so the teaser, if you guys saw the teaser, every single one of those words are words that I was called growing up. And it's interesting. As I was writing them and thinking through them, some of them I had like queer. I'm like, in the 80s or even late 70s, queer was very derogatory. We didn't, when you were called a queer, it was horrible. It's the same as fag or faggot, or even gay was not meant as this way to define yourself. It was meant as a derogatory comment. Um, all right, so here, if I was trying to think back, when did this start becoming a thing? And I've got to the fourth grade, and I don't think anything was happening in the fourth grade. Let me also start with, I grew up in small town Western Kansas. I don't really remember, but maybe 200, 300 people in my class, so not huge by any means, and small town near the border of Kansas and Colorado. And I lived there until the eighth grade. And it is by far the worst bullying that has occurred in my life. So up to the eighth grade. So let's back up now. Around fourth grade, I don't really remember much. In the fifth grade, for whatever reason, I don't know, did we learn what these words were between the fourth and the fifth grade, which would have also been like early 80s, somewhere right around there? I mean, I have to use my fingers and back up, but and your fingers. And anyways, I graduated in 87. Graduated in 87. So if you could do the math, where was I in the fourth grade? I'm thinking early 80s, somewhere around there. All right. Um, it I don't even know how it started. I wasn't part of a clique of the cool people or the I don't know, using slang terms here, the popular people or the not popular people or the smoking get high people, or which wasn't even a thing back then. I just wasn't a part of any group. Did I have a core group of friends? Absolutely. And that core group of friends stayed until I actually moved um out of that town. Out of Scott City was the name of that town. So somewhere along the fifth grade, words like fag or faggot started to become key. In school, there was not a starting right then and until we moved, and it got worse. The eighth grade was absolutely the worst. I mean, I did not walk down a hall during a day without somebody, doing the hand, the hand gestures, meaning that I was gay, or being called a fag or being called a faggot, getting punched, getting not pushed. So don't think of TV. And I wasn't knocked down on the ground and beat up. Nothing like that happened to me. But you'd walk down the hall and somebody would hit you or hit your shoulder and call you a fag. After school, there were many times where people wanted to fight, and I'm a little guy. I graduated high school. I wrestled early high school, and that was 112. So I graduated high school at about 118 and 5'8". So I'm just a little guy, not a fighter by any means. What I can say is high school, not high school, but middle school, junior high or elementary school and middle school, it really set you up. It made you fearful of going to places because when I would go out, so to the baseball fields, because my dad taught softball, I'm scared to run into anybody from school because I know they're going to say something, and they did say something. Um, so it made me fearful. I can remember on Halloween one time, and why? So this is, putting myself out there. Why was I dressed as a woman? First of all, so I'm probably the fifth or sixth grade, and my mom thought it was appropriate to dress me up as a girl. Okay, I'm already, called every name in the book at school, and you decide to dress me up as a girl. I have no idea. Anyways, I did it. I didn't know any better, and I did it. That did not go over well at all. I remember meeting up with a group of kids from high school or from school and just pushing, name calling. And, I instantly am thinking like, oh my gosh, we're going over here. And I can't remember whose name I used, but we're going over here to my grandma's house who lives right here. You better leave us alone, blah, blah. I didn't know anybody in the area. And we walked up to this, I don't know, stranger's house and so on and so forth. And they left. Another time I was walking home from school and people it had got out that we were moving. And I was walking home and this kid who lived near me, lived across the street and down a couple of homes, walked up to me and he said, "You're not getting out of this town without me punching you." And literally he just punched me. I was like, what the fuck just happened? Um, I don't know, it was a constant. It was just a constant. Like, I mean, I probably have 1,000 stories. So enter now late high school. We move. Now we're even in a smaller town, population 500-ish. I think there was like 21 in my graduating class. The class itself, I really didn't have any issues with the people who were in my class. There were some younger, those, lower classmates. I don't know, by a year or two, maybe juniors or sophomores thinking that I'm a senior here that would make comments. Less calling me a fag, less calling me a faggot, more around, are you gay? Again, not in a, hey, let's talk about this. Are you gay? It's the 80s. We don't do this. Um, no punching, no hitting. So all of that, for the most part, stopped. Why? I don't know. I mean, I was exactly the same person. I look back at the pictures, I was raised by my mom. My parents were divorced when I was about 9. I went to live with my mom, so I was a mommy's boy and probably acted like a mommy's boy. Uh, you know, so we owned a when we moved to this town, the eighth grade, my mother owned a bait shop, grocery store, restaurant, convenience store, like all in one out on a lake. And people were like, "Oh my God, that must be wonderful." I'm like, it sucked. You're open, every day of the year, including every holiday, and you have to work because it's the family business. That's a whole nother story, so we won't go down that one. Anyways, so you're in middle Kansas, lots of farmers, hunters, regular people. So the people live all over the place. So you have regulars that come in and eat at the restaurant. And I was constantly by these people who my mom knew, who I knew, called a sissy. It was always a sissy for some reason. I feel like there was a woman's word. It wasn't a Dorothy or a Mary or some of those things, but sissy was the most common one. And these are adults. These are people who have kids or I don't know. I What I don't understand is when did it become okay for an adult to call a kid a sissy or whatever word it might be? Wh where is that okay? When is that okay? So another part of this is so I entered the military. I really wanted away from my mother had remarried this horrible person and I wanted out of the house. And the military would come to the bait shop and they would set up and they would do these cool things. I'm like, oh my God, that looks so cool. I want to go do that. Keep in mind, little, feminine or effeminate boy in the military. It's not making any sense, but in my mind, it made sense. I never thought of myself as gay. I never had any interaction with another male. I always had a girlfriend. Um, I don't know. Did I deny it? I don't really know. Then it comes to the question. I know I'm all over the board here, but then it comes to the question of, did you know you were gay? I mean, deep down, did I know I was gay? Yes, I knew I was gay. In the 80s, I didn't know what to do with that, though. I didn't know another gay person. There's no gay bar. There's no gay anything. So you don't know what to do with it. So, yes, okay, I raise my hand. I'm gay, but I raise the other hand and say, I don't know what that means and I don't know what to do with it. I still am going to move forward and I'm going to marry a woman and have kids and, move on down the road. Keep in mind, middle Kansas, this is not on the coast where people have experienced, gay people. There was, I don't even remember if there was a black person in my high school. I'm sure there was. I know there were a few brown. I don't know what true ethnicity. That's, that's what I grew up in. All right, so joined the military and got to my location and everything. I'm in Fort Knox, Kentucky. And this is in the very beginning. And we're in those old barracks, like what you would see in MASH, 2-story, just rows of beds. And I go upstairs to where the drill sergeant's office is, again, in the very, very beginning. And there's a guy in that room as well, and he is saying he's the older, more mature person within the I don't even know what they're called anymore. It's been so damn long. My platoon, my unit, whatever it was, Bravo. I remember it was Bravo. Anyways, I walk upstairs because I was supposed to go upstairs, and those two were talking. And, I'm 17 because I had went in before 18, and this guy's probably mid to 20s or mid to upper 20s, and then the drill sergeant. And I'm standing there, and then the first words out of the drill sergeant's mouth are you, and he, don't quote me on my word here because I don't really remember it, but he said something like, "Are you a pansy?" And I guess the look in my face was, I don't know what that means. So the other gentleman, who was a little bit older, said, he's asking if you're gay. And I'm like, no, no, So I'm saying from the fourth grade through school, outside of school, at events, into the military, into the business that we own. And that now sets me up as going into college. And I am ever so fearful of going to school in college. I'm like, I I don't want to do it. I'm gonna get chastised. These people are bigger. I'm gonna get beat up. You just don't know what to do. And still at this point, still don't know a gay person, still don't understand what being gay is all about. So I can fast forward to Keith and I where were we? So during COVID, we did the road trip, like, so many people did. We lived in Denver. So we did the road trip, Colorado, Wyoming, Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, and then back to Colorado. Because who's going to hit those states? So sorry if you live in those states, but no one's going to go drive through all of those states. So we stayed the night and went through all those states, made sure we could see different events, put it on the map. We have a big map and said, oh, look, we've hit some of these states. Um, we were in South Dakota. We were near, oh my gosh, what's it called? Mount Rushmore. It's a small town right beside it with a whole bunch of stuff to do, and we were staying the night there. So granted, I realize the town we're in, but we're also in, this is 2020. This is in 2020. It's not the 80s anymore. We had gone to this pub looking bar. We're sitting down. We are, I don't know, having a conversation, just the two of us. And a guy walks over to us and called us pussies. And, I don't, again, I took it as a derogatory term for being in the gay world. I have no idea what he meant, but I mean, maybe he just meant, look, there's two guys and I'm going to go, yo, pussy, as a form of saying hi. That's not what happened. Because he later came over to our table and like squatted down and had a conversation with us. Where are you from? I'm like, you just called us fucking pussies. Sorry. And now you're coming back over here and you want to know where we're from. It was just weird. We were like, we're not, no more drinks. So we literally stopped. I don't even know if we ate there. No more drinks. And we went someplace else. So it's never stopped. If you think about my whole point to all of this is when you think about bullying, it's never stopped. There is always somebody who feels it's okay to call you a word, a name, something. And why is that? That's the real question here. Where what do you get from it? Is it because you hold power, because you can do it? And if I look at today in this political climate, don't worry, we're not going to go down that path. It is okay to say anything to anybody, whether you're the president or was a president, whether you're the vice president, it's just okay to say anything you want to say. You call anybody anything, and it's like no big deal. And parents today are like, well, I mean, he is a sissy. So what's wrong with calling him a sissy? Well, it just, it literally makes no sense. And what I don't think people realize is, do you know what you're doing to that person's mental stability, mental awareness, mental something? Because I'm 55 and I'm still talking about the fifth grade and when people would hit me or call me names and how it's like, well, I don't want to go to the mall. Because if I go to the mall, I'm going to run into somebody who's going to call me a name. And you know what made it worse? It wasn't that they always called me the name. It was the friends that I would be with, because they never called any of my friends any names. And that embarrassment, the embarrassment that that man just called me a fag. That's what would send me over the top, even more than somebody calling me a fag. All right. So back to today. I I don't get it. Somebody tell me. Somebody write in and you tell me when did it become okay that we can say whatever we want to say and call you any name we want to call you, which causes suicide, therapy, everything else. So here's my other question. I also want to know, so take the guy who called us a pussy. Did you get called names and did you like it? Or is that the whole reason behind it? You got called names, you couldn't do anything about it. So you're going to show your power by calling somebody else a name, some stranger that you don't even know. I think maybe that could be it. Um, I don't know. It's an interesting conversation. Talk to me and tell me your thoughts. Were you a bully? Were you bullied? Um, I was not a bully, but there was one person in high school that I don't think I was very nice to. So, could you say I was a bully? Maybe. I am still trying to get in touch with her to say, I'm so sorry. I don't know why I was not nice to you. I really don't know. Was it because I felt the power over her like people felt the power over me? I don't know the answer to that, but I'm still trying to get a hold of her, and I will get a hold of her one day, and hopefully she'll talk to me and be able to have a conversation. All right. Okay, that's it for today. So, you know a little bit more about me. You know a little bit more why I'm doing these podcasts, getting a little bit more vulnerable. There's probably some pieces in there that my friends don't necessarily know. It is weird getting on camera and saying, yeah, I was called a fag and a faggot and everything else all through school. And I don't know. It takes something to be able to say all of that. And I'm sure it takes something for you. And I'm sure it takes something for those of you who reached out and said, I was a bully. I'm sure that takes a lot as well. All right. Homework. So here's your homework. You know, we've always got homework. I want to hear from you. I want to know if you were a bully. If you were a bully, why? Do you know why? Or what did you do? Have you ever reached back out to those people and said something? Have you ever seen those people again that you bullied? I'd love to hear from the bullies out there so I can understand your perspective. And if you want to talk, we can talk. We'll bring you on and let's have a conversation about what it felt like to be, what it feels like today to have been a bully at some point in your life. I'd love to have that conversation with you. All right. Thank you all so much. Again, I appreciate you continuing to listen, appreciate you continuing to follow. I urge you, put in your comments, like this, share this, and we'll talk next time. So for now, remember, speak your courage.